You disappoint me. No!
Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host, with another marvelous video. This time, top 50 animated movies of all time. Animation has evolved leaps and bounds over the years, but one thing has remained constant: a continuous flow of mesmerizing animated movies right from the 40s and 50s to this date. We've come a long way from the hand-drawn classics of Walt Disney to the modern-day technological wonders, but the limitless storytelling opportunities of animated movies have impressed generation after generation. In this video, we've picked out the top 50 animated movies of all time. We haven't included any anime on this list, so that's for another time. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
So long, boys! I'll send you a postcard from Paradise Falls.
Up 2009. An emotional roller coaster packed with the thrills of adventure. That's what made Up one of the best animated films ever made, and the movie commands appreciation even after a decade. It tells the story of Carl Fredricksen, who was a shy young boy and dreamed of exploring the forbidden Paradise Falls in South America. He meets the perfect young lady and has the perfect married life, but his dreams never materialize in the hardships of life. Now, at the age of 78, he decides to turn his dreams into reality. He ties thousands of balloons to his tiny house and turns it into a flying house. Carl soars away with his young friend Russell, and soon they're in for an adventure of a lifetime. It's tough to describe Up in words because it's a bit of everything. The narrative is a real tearjerker and also has loads of humor to balance things out. There are some adorable moments and also adequate thrills to make things interesting for everyone. Watching Carl and his wife pass through their lives will break your heart, and there are some fascinating supporting characters to hold your interest. We could go on and on about this movie, but let's just say that it's Pixar's finest moment, and as good as an animated film gets. If you haven't watched the movie yet, your life is still missing something. Heavy Metal, 1981. A glowing green orb, Lochnar, is the embodiment of ultimate evil, and this sphere moves through space and finds itself on Earth. Its origins are shrouded in mystery, but wherever it went and whoever it influenced fell prey to the corrosive power of this evil cosmic entity. We get to witness its bizarre history through different stories shown to a little girl by Lochnar itself, and we experience the horrors that this intergalactic force unfolded across space and time. The movie was based on the American version of the Heavy Metal magazine, the theme of which was adult fantasy sci-fi. Of course, it takes some maturity to grasp the stories because the narrative isn't intended for kids. It has everything from violence, humor, nudity, and interesting storylines, and the connector being the cosmic entity, the green orb, only makes things better. The animation looks terrific, and the movie has fittingly become a cult classic over the years. If you want to witness an 80s animated classic that doesn't hold back in its storytelling, this would be the movie to opt for.
We don't have to do this.
Sure we do.
Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, Parts 1 and 2. This two-part Batman animated movie is one of the best in the business, and Part 1 tells the story of Batman returning after 10 years of retirement to take on the rising crimes in Gotham City. Age has caught up with Bruce Wayne, and it remains to be seen if a 55-year-old can stand up to the likes of Joker and the mutants who have unleashed a new era of crime. Part 2 thickens the action even further, as the authorities are after Batman, and meanwhile, Joker has gone rogue and is wreaking havoc across the city. Can the Dark Knight emerge from such extreme challenges? One of the first things that DC fans notice in an animated movie is the accuracy of the adaptation. Batman: The Dark Knight Returns scores a complete 10 in this regard. It's a fan favorite for a reason, and it even inspired Christopher Nolan to deliver The Dark Knight Rises. Apart from the remarkable storyline, the two-part movie is helped by some terrific voice acting. Peter Weller of RoboCop fame is quite impressive as Batman, and others like Michael Emerson as Joker and Wade Williams as Harvey Dent also deliver impactful performances. Part 2 offers the grand conclusion of the saga that everyone was waiting for, and it's every bit as intriguing and gritty as the first one. If someone wants to watch one of the best Batman animated movies ever made, show them The Dark Knight Returns.
I gotta say, I missed watching you work.
Batman Under the Red Hood, 2010. Batman is up against another great challenge in Gotham City as a mysterious vigilante named Red Hood rises through the ranks. He keeps the streets clean by picking off the criminals, but he doesn't follow the code of ethics that Batman holds so dear. The Dark Knight is assisted by the Nightwing, and the duo soon realizes that Red Hood has skills which are at par with their own. Besides, he's also aware of Batman's secret identity, and clearly there are some ties that they're failing to notice. When things get ugly, some old old wounds are reopened, and even Batman realizes that vigilante justice comes at a price. This is one of the best writings that you'll see in the Batman universe, across live-action movies and animated films. The smart script ensures that the suspense can be savored throughout the narrative, and animation fans will be pleased to see some well-drawn characters and smooth backgrounds. Gotham is perfectly atmospheric, and the grim nature of the story is perfectly supported by the rousing and powerful music. Bruce Greenwood fits the bill as the voice of Batman, and others like Neil Patrick Harris as Dick Grayson also do a great job. This version of Joker might take some getting used to, but John DiMaggio is also up to the task. Overall, Under the Red Hood comes up with a shocking take on your favorite superheroes and is certainly worth your time.
Do you deny it?
No.
Then you're guilty.
No, I'm not a murderer.
The Lion King, 1994. For the kids growing up through the 90s, The Lion King holds special importance and brings up some fond memories. The moving story of a young lion prince cast out of his pride is just as inspiring as it is entertaining. Simba, the lion cub, has the perfect life under the protection of his father, Mufasa, the king of the savannah. However, his uncle's evil conspiracy gets Mufasa killed, and Simba barely manages to escape. He blames himself for his father's death and runs away from home. He meets two new friends, Timon and Pumbaa, and it takes him years to finally be prepared to take back his throne. His uncle's evil reign must be stopped, and it'll take some of Simba's royal genes to put up a fight. The Lion King is often hailed as the jewel of animation, and it's not really an overstatement. It's one of Disney's finest, and the story is simply versatile. You get to witness a diverse range of characters: the honorable and gallant Mufasa, the naive and immature Simba, a few comic reliefs, and one of the most monstrous villains of Disney. The character development of Simba and the depths of his journey contains some valuable life lessons, and the script written for this movie is as good as gold. Jeremy Irons nails it as Simba's evil uncle Scar, and others like Matthew Broderick and James Earl Jones ensure that the voice talent is simply too good. We could re-watch the movie hundreds of times without getting bored.
To infinity and beyond!
Toy Story, 1995. As kids, we all imagined our toys to be conscious and sentient, and Toy Story takes this childhood fantasy and fits it into a brilliant story. Andy is a young boy whose favorite toy used to be a good-hearted cowboy doll named Woody. He lost his position after the arrival of a Buzz Lightyear action figure, and this obnoxious new toy is quite happy with Andy's fascination for him. Meanwhile, jealousy gets the better of Woody, and in an effort to get rid of Buzz, they both end up getting lost. With Andy and his family scheduled to move soon, they must find their way back before it's too late. They also have to deal with a few challenges along the way, such as the ruthless toy killer, Sid Phillips. The director, John Lasseter, creates a masterpiece with Toy Story, and he has some remarkable support. Everything from the animation style to the script to the acting performances combines to deliver the goods. You know the voice acting is fire when legends like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are cast as the protagonists. Visually, the movie is second to none, and the simple plot packs a few emotional punches along the way. The grand success of Toy Story spawned an entire franchise, and the sequels have successfully maintained the legacy. Overall, it's a movie that will appeal to people of all ages, and you can always sit with your family and enjoy this timeless classic.
Everybody duck!
The Incredibles, 2004. Mr. Incredible and his wife Elastigirl have been crime-fighting superheroes for the people of Metroville, but their services have been deemed to be unnecessary. Reluctantly, they return to their regular civilian lives as their secret superhero lives take a back seat. Mr. Incredible, aka Bob Parr, now works a normal job to provide for his family, but his heart longs for his past life of adventure. Opportunity comes his way when he's summoned for a top-secret assignment on a remote island. Elastigirl, aka Helen, and her secretly superpowered kids soon find out that Mr. Incredible will need the family to come together to save the world this time around. As it turns out, the life of adventure never really left the Incredibles. This is the type of movie that the audience wishes they get on a regular basis, but they rarely do. It's superhero drama in all its glory, and the story is filled with twists and turns. As for the setting, Pixar presents a society that we're familiar with, but in an animated form. The narrative is witty and intelligent, and every member of the Incredibles family, right from Mr. Incredible to his little children, is relatable on some level. The story is also loaded with some strong family values, and the visuals do justice to the vision behind the movie. In short, it's indeed an incredible affair that every superhero fan must experience in their lives.
Dory? Nemo! Nemo! I'm coming, Nemo!
Finding Nemo, 2003. The story is premised in the depths of the ocean, where Marlin is a meek clownfish who's raising his son Nemo as a single parent. Young Nemo is quite an adventurous fellow and is yet to be familiar with the threats lurking around. Disobedience brings about his downfall after Nemo gets abducted by humans and his helpless father can do nothing to rescue him. Nemo is packed and dispatched to Sydney to be sold as a pet, but Marlin doesn't give up his quest. He takes up a life-threatening journey across the ocean in search of his son, and luckily for him, there are some fun companions like Dory along the way. Can he finally be reunited with his son? Finding Nemo is a brilliantly animated masterpiece with a touching story that will impress everyone from kids to adults. The artists and animators at Pixar have continued to broaden their horizon further, and visually, the movie is a sight for sore eyes. It deserves all the hype that it received, and the moral and life lessons are not to be discounted. The characters have more depth than what you find in some of the live-action classics, and these are fish, for crying out loud. Grab a tissue for some heartbreaking moments, prepare to be rooting enthusiastically for Marlin, and experience a complete family drama unfold before you. Despicable Me, 2010. A person is just as bad as the circumstances make him, and even the most evil minds just require the right amount of compassion and love to change them drastically. Despicable Me explores such deep philosophies with the most innocent-looking narrative featuring Gru, a renowned criminal mastermind. Ever since he was a kid, he dreamed of stealing the moon, and now he's finally developed a device that would allow him to shrink the moon down to bring it back to the Earth. When another supervillain steals his invention, he's keen to retrieve it back, and he adopts 3 little girls from an orphanage as pawns of his scheme. However, he soon finds comfort in their love and changes into a caring father from a ruthless criminal. But will his trusted scientist and instinctive criminal urges get the better of his emotions? We don't know about you, but when we see Gru, we imagine Steve Carell, and the likes of Russell Brand and Jason Segel made for a star-studded voice cast. The direction is flawless, and there are far too many adorable moments in the narrative that will spread some warmth. The transformation of Gru from a grumbling criminal to a loving parent is what makes the movie so special, and you'll find the cute little minions to be one of the best things about the film. It's a modern classic in every sense of the term, and you're missing out on an emotion-driven, action-packed laugh riot if you haven't watched it yet.
Now take the apple, dear, and make a wish.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937. There are few who aren't familiar with this classic fairy tale, but the uniqueness of this animated movie is far more than the age-old storyline. This is the first and one of the most memorable animated films from Disney, and way back in 1937, they certainly did a great job about it. It tells the story of Snow White, a beautiful princess who's also a kind-hearted and most loved individual in the kingdom. However, her jealous stepmother is not too happy about her popularity, and she grows bitter about Snow White when her magic mirror claims that Snow White is the most beautiful in the kingdom. She orders her huntsman to get rid of Snow White, but in an act of unprecedented kindness, the man lets her live. She goes on to live with 7 lovable dwarfs, but the queen's wrath soon finds her and puts her under the effect of a poisonous apple. Is the power of true love stronger than evil magic? The historical importance of this animated film is way more than you can imagine. It proved that people were willing to sit through a full-length animated movie, and it also showed that the audiences were prepared to emotionally connect to cartoon characters. It was appreciated by legends like Charlie Chaplin, and it made sure that animated movies were here to stay. The animation was beautiful, and without the advent of modern technology, it just shows how good the artists were. Everything from the voice acting to the music used will leave you impressed, and the movie is a must-watch for everyone who wants to revisit the nostalgia of how it all began.
Run.
Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, 2013. What if one could go back in time and change things according to his whims and fancies? Before Barry Allen turned into the fastest man alive, the Flash, he'd witnessed a troubled childhood, where his mother was brutally murdered. Traveling to the past, he soon realizes that he had bitten off more than he could chew. There are further distortions in the timeline, and this is a world where there's no Justice League as he knows it. Wonder Woman and Aquaman have spread chaos and war, and Flash in this new world is just another regular man. Even Batman is far from the ethical and moral version of himself, and a powerful Barry Allen seeks his help to set things right. However, there's another major problem for the Flash. His memories of the reality as he knew it are fading fast, and he must find a way to set things right before it's too late. Will the world ever be the same again? One of the first things that you'll notice about this movie is the anime-style animation. It'll be a treat for those who like the animation style of Young Justice, and the vibrant use of atmospheric colors make the visuals stand out. Besides an intelligent script and smart dialogues, you'll also admire the haunting music that lends more power power to the scenes. The voice acting from a talented cast including Justin Chambers and Kevin Conroy hit the right notes, and the fast-paced narrative never allows a dull moment. DC has seldom played around with time as well as this, and the Flashpoint Paradox is easily one of its best efforts in the last decade. How to Train Your Dragon, 2010. In a fantasy world of dragons and Vikings, Hiccup is a young Viking whose people are always at war with the dragons. He wants to prove his capability to his father, who refuses to allow him to join the fight against the dragons. During one of the dragon invasions, Hiccup manages to capture a dragon named Toothless, who is among the rarest dragons. Although Hiccup wanted to be a dragon killer all his life, his friendship with Toothless changes his perspective. He realizes that his people have misunderstood the entire dragon species. Can the Vikings and the dragons learn to live in peace following the awakened consciousness of the young boy? Animated movies don't always teach you tricky philosophies about war and peace, but this one does. And that too without being preachy. The story is smart and witty, and for those who have a fascination for the dragon mythology, a lot of interesting ideas are thrown up. We loved the emotional outreach of the characters, and the animation makes them a lot more real than the usual animated characters we come across. Even with all the anti-war themes, there are some incredible action sequences to watch out for, and be prepared for a few heartfelt moments as well. Jay Baruchel as the voice of Hiccup is amazing, and equally impressive is Gerard Butler as his father. Overall, it's too good of a family entertainer to miss out on. Fantasia, 1940. During the early stages of Disney, this was one of its boldest experiments, animated interpretations of the finest works in Western classical music. These masterpieces were combined with some remarkable visuals and animation, and it resulted in the perfect abstract art. To add to the charm of Fantasia, it also told a few iconic stories that could make modern filmmakers proud. It would be unfair to leave a single verdict on Fantasia because the entire movie is the perfect sum total of its 7 segments. It's a rare piece of art because seldom will you come across an animated movie that explores such levels of thematic creativity. The music compositions are out of this world, and while everyone will have their favorite bits, we choose to single out The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Mickey Mouse. Fantasia is much more than just an animated movie. It's a piece of history, and it's your chance to check it out and be a part of one. Monsters, Inc. 2001. Monsters, Inc. takes place in a world inhabited by monsters without the presence of any humans. They all live in the city called Monstropolis, and Monsters, Inc. is the power company of the city, where 2 adorable monsters, Sully and Mike, work as employees. They derive power for the city by scaring children, whose screams generate all the required energy. But their life changes completely when a 2-year-old human baby girl enters their world mistakenly. Now, Sully and Mike must make sure that the little girl can get back to her own world, but things are easier said than done. There are a few evil minds at work, and not all monsters are as friendly as our protagonists. The moment you hear the word monster, you form a particular image in your mind, the image of something terrifying and deadly. Well, be prepared to change your perspectives because Monsters, Inc. brings you some of the friendliest monsters you'll ever encounter. Billy Crystal and John Goodman are perfect together as the monsters Sully and Mike, and the script ensures that some of the clever jokes in the narrative will entertain the adults as well. The combination of fun and emotional elements in the story stands out, and this movie did for monsters what Toy Story did for toys. An emotional and eventful narrative that has every ingredient of the perfect movie for kids can well be your go-to animated flick the next time you're trying to entertain the kids.
Go to hell.
Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, 2020. After a successful narrative in Justice League Dark, the makers came back with an even better sequel. A poorly planned attack on the planet Apocalypse goes terribly wrong and results in the death of some prominent Justice League members. It allows Darkseid the opportunity to embark on a successful conquest of the Earth, and in a ragged and ruined Earth, the remaining superheroes get together to save the world. They're led by John Constantine as they fight against all odds in a losing battle against a superior force. They can either destroy Darkseid and Apocalypse for good, or they can die trying. This was the official end to the New 52 animated universe, and what a fitting climax it was. Apocalypse War is just as dark, gritty, and gory as you'd expect from a well-made DC venture. The action is non-stop, but the movie isn't all about iconic fight scenes between the major superheroes and supervillains. It deals more with the emotional stuff conspires within. It does help if you know all the characters beforehand, but that doesn't stop the movie from being as amazing as it is. If only the live-action movies in the DC universe could recreate the magic of some of these animated projects.
Really, really.
I love you too.
Shrek, 2001. Shrek is a grumpy green ogre who lives in a distant swamp and cherishes his solitude more than anything. However, his peaceful life is disrupted by the advent of several annoying fairy tale characters in his swampland. They've all been banished from their own realm by the evil Lord Farquaad, and the ogre is now determined to save his homeland, and also the fairy tale characters, and thus begins the adventurous mission of Shrek. He strikes a deal with Lord Farquaad, who sends the ogre to rescue Princess Fiona. The princess awaits her true lover in a tower, guarded by dragons, and Shrek is soon going to learn about her deep, dark secret. Watch the drama that unfolds as new discoveries lead to new consequences. Shrek revolutionized the film industry in a way with its introduction of high-quality computer animation that could give Pixar a run for its money. The storytelling is carefully curated to appeal to both children and adults, and some brilliant characters in the narrative act as the icing on the cake. The likes of Mike Myers, John Lithgow, and Cameron Diaz make for a fine cast of voice actors. The humor in this movie is some of the finest you'll experience, and some of the jokes are only to be understood by grown men. Shrek isn't just a good animated movie or a memorable character. Shrek is an emotion that everyone must witness through his remarkable stories.
You wanted to be a genie? You got it! And everything that goes...
Aladdin, 1992. We all know the stories around Aladdin, but the 90s animated movie presented it in a way that was never done before. It's the familiar tale of a street urchin Aladdin who steals from the marketplace to sustain himself in the city. His life changes when he comes across a genie in a lamp, which is capable of granting all his wishes. Meanwhile, we're introduced to the beautiful Princess Jasmine, who's being forced to marry against her will by her estranged father. Aladdin falls for the princess, but the evil Jafar has plans of his own. Can Aladdin prevail against all odds, and can the genie help him in this tricky situation?
Genie, I need help.
All right, Sparky, here's the deal.
It's one of the last Disney movies with hand-drawn animation, and the execution is sure to leave you spellbound. It feels personalized, with the artists putting in all their heart into their work, and the vivid images coming to life is simply a remarkable feat. The forever entertaining and hilarious Robin Williams teams up with Scott Weinger and makes for a formidable cast of voice actors. The characters are all lovable, and you're bound to vibe with the catchy soundtrack on offer. Watch this fascinating story from Arabian Nights come alive, because you don't see adaptations of such classics every day. Megamind, 2010. Have you ever watched a superhero drama unfold before you from the supervillain's perspective? Welcome to Megamind, the story of the misguided villain with a heart of gold. It all starts off as two alien offspring are dispatched in space pods before their home planet is about to be destroyed. They both end up on Earth, but different environments lead to two very contrasting individuals. Metro Man becomes the superhero of the city, and Megamind becomes the villain who is humbled by constant defeats. Finally, he's able to develop a deadly ray that seemingly kills Metro Man. Megamind is surprised to find that in the absence of an opposing force, his life seems purposeless. Later, when a serious danger threatens the entire population, Megamind must find his true calling as a savior. One of the drawbacks of most superhero movies is the abundance of binary characters who are all good or all bad. Megamind breaks away from the stereotype by exploring the inner turmoil and insecurities of the characters. This makes them relatable, and suddenly you don't mind the disguised story of Superman is told from the perspective of his arch-nemesis Lex Luthor. Will Ferrell was tailor-made for the role of Megamind, and he slips into this confused and inspiring character effortlessly. It's unfortunate that such a terrific project was overshadowed by the release of another iconic animated flick, Despicable Me, but this movie deserves all the appreciation. Megamind is almost an adorable take on human character, and rarely have we come across a better insight into a supervillain's mind.
Directive?
WALL-E, 2008. The movie is set in a world in the distant future, where the Earth has become uninhabitable because of an abundance of trash. The humans have abandoned the planet, and WALL-E, short for Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class, is the last robot left on Earth. He clears the planet a little at a time, and keeps the unique items that he comes across for himself. His lonely life changes when a probe robot, Eve, is sent to look for the last living plant on the planet. WALL-E happily obliges, but when Eve goes into sleep mode and is taken back into the spaceship that brought her, WALL-E comes along. We witness the pathetic condition of humans, and these robots might be the last chance to save the planet. This movie proves yet again that even a fully commercial and popular animated movie can be artsy in its own way. The movie reinstates your faith in Pixar, and it's an adorable yet painful take on on the perils faced by our planet. The animation is top grade, but the visuals would be no good without the brilliant screenplay. It's not the easiest task to portray emotions and situations with minimal dialogues, but WALL-E does so effortlessly. The social commentary never becomes overbearing and doesn't eat into the entertainment side of things. It's heartwarming, funny, and has all the qualities to be regarded as one of the best animated movies of all time. All we can say is that WALL-E didn't become a legendary movie for nothing, and it wouldn't be wise to miss out on such a classic. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, 1993. Gotham City has witnessed the arrival of a new vigilante who takes down prominent mob bosses and criminals with extreme violence. This mysterious character is mistaken for Batman by the police, and the Dark Knight becomes one of the most wanted in town. Meanwhile, an old love interest of Bruce Wayne, Andrea Beaumont, is back in town, and the romance between the two heats up yet again. Batman must solve the mystery of the Phantasm, and with the arrival of his arch-nemesis Joker, things only become more interesting. Can Batman clear his name and find some answers that lie in his history and also that of his deadly rival? Mask of the Phantasm is often regarded as one of the best Batman feature films, and the verdict is not an overstatement. The movie sticks to the dark side of Batman that fans love and put him through the kind of trauma and dilemma that we love to see him overcome. Bruce Timm, as a part of the creative team for this film, worked wonders on the movie, and the nice little introduction of Andrea Beaumont adds a fresh perspective to analyze the Caped Crusader. There is no one as versatile as Kevin Conroy when it comes to the voice of Batman, and the man once again elevates his performance to a godly level. In short, this underrated gem reveals some of Batman's old wounds and shows you the superhero at his most vulnerable, not a package you should neglect. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, 2000. In a futuristic Gotham City, the new Batman Terry McGinnis is stumped by the return of the Joker, one of the dreaded rivals of the original Batman. The reason behind this confusion is the knowledge that Batman got rid of him years ago. So, how is he back again? And what really happened when the original Batman fought him for the last time? Terry must put together the missing pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and figure out why the Clown Prince is back with a vengeance after all these years. We wouldn't spoil the mystery behind the reappearance of the Joker with his new gang, but be assured that the revelation will blow your mind. Besides the impeccable storytelling and the perfect kind of animation style to bring about the true colors of Gotham, this film is also noticeable for some stellar performances in the voice acting department. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and Joker are a match made in heaven, and it's a pity that the movie had to suffer some severe cuts due to the overwhelming violence in the original version. Anyone who is apprehensive about Terry McGinnis as the new Batman in this story arc needs to watch this movie to put his doubts to rest.
Don't forget about us, okay?
Ice Age, 2002. You might come across better animated movies, but you'll not experience too many better stories of friendship, and you have to ignore the minor loopholes in terms of the animals that we see on screen. With the upcoming Ice Age, all the animals are trying to figure out a way to save themselves, and in this chaotic situation, three unlikely animals get together for a noble cause. Manny, a woolly mammoth, Diego, a saber-toothed tiger, and Sid, a sloth, form a reluctant group, but they soon find out that their bond is going to be an everlasting one. Together, they must return a human baby found by the sloth to the tribe before it's preyed upon by an evil group of saber-toothed tigers. Ice Age established the groundwork for some of the most popular animated characters, and it's no surprise that the movie spawned a franchise. The sequels are just as good as the original, and we get to be a part of more adventures of Diego, Manny, and Sid. Coming back to the movie, a gorgeous color palette is going to leave you stunned, and there hasn't been a better portrayal of such prehistoric times in animation. The humor in the narrative is to die for, and Sid delivers a bulk of the comical moments and lines. To see a little human baby softening up some really tough characters like Manny and Diego is heartwarming, and credit is due for the voice actors, such as Roy Romano and Dennis Leary, for providing the diverse range of the characters. Ice Age is adorable, clever, and thoroughly entertaining, and we strongly recommend running a movie marathon for the entire franchise.
No! Moana, stop!
Moana, 2016. The story is premised in ancient Polynesia, where the once mighty demigod Maui incurs a curse that reaches the Moana's island. She is the daughter of the chief of her tribe, and their people come from a long line of expert navigators. In the change of fortunes and situations, Moana must accompany Maui as the latter guides her in the quest of setting things right for her people. They embark on an adventure of a lifetime across the Pacific as they come across dangerous monsters and other threats posed by the ocean. Can she fulfill the ancient quest of her ancestors and fix everything for for her people and Maui. Polynesian mythology might not be as popular as some of the other notable mythologies around the world, but this story is an example why everyone needs to check it out. The movie ticks all the right boxes. Firstly, Moana is the ideal protagonist. She's likable, flawed, and fun, which makes her relatable on various levels. She shares an incredible chemistry with Maui, voiced by none other than Dwayne Johnson, and their time together makes it worth watching. Add to this some breathtaking visuals, and you have the complete package. Even the soundtracks have garnered a lot of praise. Here's a movie that's sure to soften the hardest of hearts, and something to watch out for if you're seeking some of Disney's best works. Frozen 2013. Princess Elsa from the Kingdom of Arendelle has the ability to turn anything into ice. But soon the side effects of her icy powers are revealed. She accidentally hits her sister Anna on the head, almost killing her. As a result, the accident changes Elsa and causes her to be more secluded. But the death of her parents changes things yet again. When Anna decides to marry Prince Hans, an opposition from Elsa causes an accidental outburst that freezes the entire kingdom. Can Anna appeal to the true love in her sister to change the fate of their kingdom? The movie is inspired by The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, but there have been enough changes made to the story to make Frozen an independent entity. The story of two sisters encompasses a wide range of emotions, but the chemistry is nothing that you haven't seen before. So, what makes the movie so special? Well, for starters, the execution doesn't spread out like a boring soap opera. The CGI is incredible, and it's one of Disney's best-looking animated movies. Frozen is also an extremely successful musical, and you simply can't help but hum alongside the 10 songs in the movie, a complete entertainer for the entire demographic. This movie can put the grumpiest child in a good mood. Kung Fu Panda 2008. Ho! The overweight and clumsy panda is a lazy fellow with lofty ambitions. He's a crazy fan of Kung Fu, but his interests are of no use in his family-run noodle shop where he works every day. However, things take an unexpected turn when Po is chosen to fulfill an ancient prophecy and be the protector in the Valley of Peace. He's taken in to be trained by Master Shifu, alongside 5 other legendary Kung Fu warriors. He starts off as someone out of place, but he soon finds his true calling in the hour of greatest crisis. When the vindictive snow leopard Tai Lung threatens the entire legacy of the Kung Fu school, Po stands up to him in what boils down to be an epic battle. The title of the movie is probably the only thing childish in here, because everything else is golden content meant for audiences across all age groups. Besides being an adorable story of a happy-go-lucky, laid-back character transforming into a dedicated Kung Fu warrior, the movie also imparts valuable life lessons without being too preachy about it. The stellar voice cast adds some incredible performances from actors like Jack Black, Angelina Jolie, Dustin Hoffman, Jackie Chan, and the others. The animation quality is almost futuristic, and the fight sequences involving a lot of Kung Fu will tell you that the animators weren't just playing around. If you dream of something that everyone thinks is impossible, or if you're having second thoughts about your ambition, go ahead and watch this movie for some inspiration.
Nope. Sorry, that's cheating.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2018. Miles Morales is a misfit at his new school, and his life takes a turn for the worse after he's bitten by a radioactive spider. He's gifted with some new powers just like the original Spider-Man, but he doesn't really know what to do with them. When he's caught up in an interdimensional conflict, there's not much time for him to come to terms with his new powers. He must embrace the identity of Spider-Man for his universe as the inexperienced young boy joins hands with 5 other spider-powered individuals. The fate of all their universes hangs on a balance, and it's up to this unlikely hero to save the day. Many people are quick to dismiss this movie as a hip-hop version of Spider-Man, and they miss out on one of the best animated movies featuring the web-slinger. It's a film that is worthy of Stan Lee's approval, and it hits the right spots with a great story and a great message. The stylish animation is top-notch, and it looks like the pages of the comic book leaped into the screen. Miles Morales offers a whole new Spider-Man experience, and even the villains that you encounter are nicely done. The Stan Lee cameo is an emotional moment, and you'll be entertained by some brilliance in the voice acting department from legends like Lily Tomlin and Nicolas Cage, while Shamik Moore is impressive as the protagonist. One needs to dare to experience this different flavor of Spider-Man, and the prizes for their patience will be memorable.
Look at you!
Hotel Transylvania 2012. Welcome to the personal life of Count Dracula. Here, he's a protective father, obsessed with his daughter Mavis, and operates a high-end resort that's hidden away from the human world. He's extremely protective, and his rules and regulations sometimes become suffocating for Mavis. In order to celebrate the 118th birthday of Mavis, Dracula has invited all his friends such as Frankenstein, werewolves, the mummy, etc. Meanwhile, a young man named Jonathan stumbles into the resort, where humans are strictly prohibited. When Mavis falls in love with the human, Dracula's overprotective nature is exposed, and a comedy of errors makes him realize that in order to truly care for his daughter, he must let go. It's crazy to witness some of the most terrifying characters from the horror genre in such a different avatar. Hotel Transylvania isn't just a regular monster flick or a typical touching tale of father-daughter chemistry. It traverses through a broader domain with multiple aspects getting equal weightage in the story arc. The story might be predictable, but it never gets dull with the abundance of humor. Watching the characters like Bigfoot, werewolves, and Frankenstein being hilarious is a unique experience, and Adam Sandler steals the show as the voice actor for Dracula. He's funny and emotive at the same time, and in short, you're sure to get a kick out of this out-and-out family entertainer. Don't forget to check out some of the really cool sequels that followed.
A rookie has won the Piston Cup.
Cars, 2006. His life all about winning. A hotshot rookie race car named Lightning McQueen learns this the hard way while traveling to the biggest race of his life. On his way, he accidentally damages the roads in the small town of Radiator Springs. He's sentenced to repair the roads, and the race car has to put in hours of hard work to fix the damage caused by him. Luckily for him, McQueen also has the company of some new friends. The rusty old tow truck, a Ferrari-loving Fiat, a pretty Porsche, and a grumpy old Hudson Hornet, among others. Can he finish the road in time for the final race? And what happens to his relationships once he's back on the track? Maybe life is really more about the journey than the destination and results. This movie does something that the biggest of films fail to deliver. Convey a cliched message, but through an entertaining story. Pixar proudly exhibits their sublime 3D animation skills, and the best creative minds conjure a narrative that puts imagination on the screen. The attention to detail is remarkable, and even the intricate details of the cars are handled with care. You get a fascinating character arc for the protagonist, Lightning McQueen, and the supporting characters are equally noteworthy. There are some exciting action-packed moments, and also the scenes that will tug shamelessly at your heartstrings. If you're a racing fan, the movie is a must-watch for you. And if you aren't, it still is.
Wanna see 'em dancing, up where they walk, up where they run.
The Little Mermaid, 1989. Ariel, the mermaid princess, feels suffocated by the monotony of her life in her father's extensive underwater realm. She's curious about the life on land, and despite being warned by her father, she takes a few adventurous trips to the surface. During one such event, she saves a drowning prince named Eric and falls in love with him. She is desperate to seek him out and strikes a deal with the wicked sea witch Ursula, who grants her the ability to turn into a human for 3 days. However, she's completely unaware that the whole thing is simply Ursula's plan to get rid of her father's rule and control the seas. If you take into account Disney's best works during the 80s, The Little Mermaid would rank right up there. In fact, some people believe that the movie managed to bring Disney back in business after a few underwhelming efforts back to back. Everything from the story to the near-perfect animation has been handled with care, and even the songs are mesmerizing. It's not exactly loyal to the source material, but the changes made to the story actually work. Of course, Disney wouldn't be on board for a tragic ending. The narrative introduces some memorable characters, and the witty, well-written script makes sure that you don't just get lost in a sea of emotions and romance. Although it promises a happy ending, we should warn you that the movie can be a real tearjerker. So, be on guard for those moments.
What's the matter? What happened?
Bambi, 1942. It's springtime in the forest, and all the animals are excited about the birth of Bambi, a buck fawn. His lineage means that he'll inherit the title of the prince, and the early days of Bambi as he grows up with his nurturing mother. He also has some friends of similar age: Thumper, a young rabbit, and Flower, a skunk kit. But his happy days aren't permanent, because he soon learns that the life of a deer in the forest comes with its share of dangers. Besides, his ascension as the prince is also threatened by other deer, and a young Bambi must learn the art of survival very quickly, or perish. When animation is done right, it can be a powerful canvas to portray the most complex emotions, and Bambi shows you how it's done. The story offers a harsh take on the cycle of life, and the gritty and emotional narrative is sure to take your breath away. The animation looks vivid and stunning, considering the movie dates back to 1942, and the drawings are so accurate that the film seems like a nature study project. The narrative also promises some nail-biting action and chase scenes, and the witty dialogue deserves appreciation as well. There are also some scenes that will make your eyes tear up, and the fate of Bambi's mother is probably the toughest pill to swallow. The movie is a timeless masterpiece that everyone should cherish, and these are the things that built the Disney legacy.
Go, go,
Rio, 2011. Blue is a macaw who was captured by dealers to be smuggled into the US. While traveling, his box dropped on the road, and a little girl named Linda found him and kept him as a pet. Rio grew up, never getting a chance to fly, and his comfortable life changes after an ornithologist informs Linda that Blue is the last surviving male of his species. The ornithologist brings him back to Brazil to breed with a female macaw named Jewel, but both the birds are captured by the smugglers. This time, they manage to break free, but with the smugglers still on the prowl, Blue must conquer his fears of flying and learn how to soar through the skies. The story of an individual who overcomes all odds and stands up fighting his insecurities might not be very original, but it really doesn't need to be. Rio has a narrative high on energy, and it's almost infectious with the authentic Brazilian soundtrack. Besides the amazing vibe, the movie also boasts of a sharp and funny script, which sets the tone for the story to unfold. Jesse Eisenberg and Anne Hathaway are brilliant as the voice actors, and the animation is simply stupendous with some breathtaking backgrounds. If you're in the mood for a light-hearted, fast-paced adventure, this film might be the perfect one to watch.
Don't eat me, Mr. Lion!
Beauty! Savagery beyond comprehension!
Madagascar, 2005. A zebra, a lion, a giraffe, and a hippo are best of friends at the New York Central Park Zoo, and they are the star performers there. However, Marty, the zebra, manages to break free, and the other three follow in order to look for their missing friend. They're all reunited, and soon they find themselves on the exotic shores of Madagascar. Marty had always dreamed about a free life in the jungles, but what he didn't take into account was just how unprepared they were. Now, the friends must adjust to living in the wild after a long life of being cared for. Madagascar hits the right notes with a story that summarizes everything that an animated movie should be like. The writing is consistently funny, and the heartwarming tale of friendship is something that even the adults can enjoy alongside their kids. Chris Rock, Ben Stiller, David Schwimmer, and Sacha Baron Cohen lead the charge in the voice acting department, and each one of the characters in the movie is likable and hilarious at the same time. The CGI might not be Pixar's finest, but the bright colors make up for the shortcomings. Be a part of this adventurous journey alongside your favorite characters through a movie that fixes your mood instantly.
I'll do anything to stay in the jungle.
Well then.
The Jungle Book, 1967. Mowgli is an abandoned human baby who is taken in by a family of wolves. He grows up to be one among them, but once he's older, the wise and friendly panther Bagheera realizes that he must return to his own kind for a proper life ahead. Baloo, the adorable bear, however, believes that Mowgli can thrive in the forest as well, and he teaches him the art of living in the jungle. However, Mowgli has some genuine threats to be considered, and the most dangerous among them is the man-hating tiger Shere Khan, who wants to kill the child. Meanwhile, King Louie is interested in learning how to make a fire from the human boy, and others like Kaa, the hungry python, wants to prey on him. It's high time for Mowgli to take a call. Does he belong in the jungle or among his people? The movie isn't 100% faithful to the books, but for a good reason. Some parts of the story by Rudyard Kipling are tough to capture in animation, and the makers took the right call. It's still the same simplistic story at heart, with some very likable characters in the mix of things. Phil Harris and Sebastian Cabot and some other talented voice actors make these characters come alive, and even the old school animation stands out. It's one of the most magical children's movies of all time, and for many, it's a cherished memory of their childhood. You can check out the 2016 remake as well, because the stunning CGI is worth experiencing. Tarzan, 1999. From one wild child to another. Let's get into the tales of Tarzan, who has the same initial story as Mowgli. As an orphan, he was raised by a compassionate female gorilla named Kala. He grows up to be Tarzan, raised in the safety of fellow gorillas in their mountain hideaway. Things change after the arrival of Englishwoman Jane Porter and her father, Professor Archimedes, in the forest. Tarzan falls for the young lady, and he's eager to please her when she requests to meet the gorillas. However, the scheming tour guide and a hunter have other plans about finding the gorilla hideout, and Tarzan must make use of his wits to save his beloved ape family. Many people consider the period from 1989 to 1999 as the Disney Renaissance, and this movie is one of the last gems of this era. Based on the novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs, the movie tells a heartwarming story of acceptance and love. It also has the element of thrill and adventure because of the baddies involved, but Tarzan saving the day for his ape family is happy, hormone-secreting stuff. The combination of hand-drawn animation and CGI looks absolutely unreal, and the action scenes are examples of just how good the visuals are. Phil Collins provides the perfect soul-searching music, and overall, this is probably the best version of Tarzan that you can watch. The Adventures of Tintin, 2011. When the feisty young journalist Tintin buys a model ship called the Unicorn from a local market, little did he know that it was about to change his life. His friend and seasoned sailor, Captain Haddock, informs him that the ship belonged to his ancestor, Sir Francis Haddock, who saved the map of all his treasure in the model ship after he was attacked by pirates. Now, as Tintin and Captain Haddock set out to find the missing treasure, they're being pursued by the sinister Mr. Saccharine, who wants the treasure for himself. You know you're in for something special when the legendary Steven Spielberg tries his hand at animated movies. It's one of the most visually stunning movies in the past decade, and the 3D effects were simply marvelous. Spielberg has always been a fan of Hergé's work, and this is his tribute by combining 3 of his comics into this CGI masterpiece. The movie is fittingly joyous, and the hilarious detectives have been lifted straight from the comics. The old-fashioned treasure hunt guarantees the adrenaline rush, and you've got to watch this film if you're a Tintin fan. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988. It's a world where cartoon characters exist alongside real humans, and Roger is one such cartoon rabbit who works in show business. His good life is interrupted by the discovery that his wife Jessica Rabbit is having an affair. It goes from bad to worse when the poor fellow is accused of murder, even though he's innocent. It's up to a cartoon-hating detective, Eddie Valiant, to clear his name and bring the real culprit to justice. Eddie hates cartoons because one of them killed his brother, but now he unwillingly has to help someone he can't stand. It's indeed an innovative idea to create a situation where the cartoon world meets reality. The narrative is sometimes funny and sometimes compassionate, but it's always entertaining. It's a mixture of live action and animation, and the makers accept the challenge quite effortlessly. The narrative has a dark atmosphere with tons of suspense. At the same time, it's fun to watch various cartoon characters make cameo appearances. Bob Hoskins as the detective steals the show, and Roger Rabbit provides the perfect foil in his goofy avatar. Kathleen Turner as the seductive voice of Jessica Rabbit is also a treat to hear. This unique movie experience is something that you'll remember for years to come. Beauty and the Beast, 1991. An arrogant and selfish young prince named Adam was cursed by a wicked enchantress who turned him into a grotesque beast. The only way for him to get back to his original form is to earn the love of a young woman and undo the curse. Years pass by, and finally he encounters a young lady named Belle after he imprisons her father. She's a feisty woman who offers to be held captive by the beast instead of her father. However, the captor and the captive soon develop a unique bond, and it doesn't take long for Belle to fall in love with him. She starts to draw the cold-hearted beast out of his isolated zone, but they're completely unaware that a hunter in the village has some sinister plans of his own. It was the first animated movie to be nominated for the Oscar Awards in the Best Picture category, and watching the film will make you realize why it deserved to be there. The heartfelt storyline is supported by beautiful animation and some lovable characters. The mature narrative captures the subtle emotions, and adults can enjoy the movie just as much as kids. The climactic moment is so adorable that you're going to have tears in your eyes, and even the songs in the movie are perfectly suited for the context. It's a movie that you can proudly show your children, and there aren't too many such films being made right now. Ratatouille, 2007. Remy is a rat who aspires to become a great chef and has the required knowledge and sophisticated palate for the job. Unfortunately, his identity as a rodent isn't appreciated in the culinary world that he so desperately wants to be a part of. Living in the sewers of Paris, Remy finds himself favorably positioned below a famous Michelin star restaurant, run by his culinary hero, Auguste Gusteau. Remy disregards the dangers and risks associated with his cooking, and secretly helps out the garbage boy Alfredo Linguini by letting him take care for Remy's culinary skills. But before the talented rodent can materialize his dreams, he has to deal with the new villainous owner of the restaurant and a cynical restaurant critic. The story is so original and creative that it becomes an overwhelming experience for the viewers. This is rightly regarded as one of Pixar's best works, and Ratatouille manages to take an absurd premise and turns it into something absolutely magical. The target audience was the young adults who could handle a few mature concepts, and watching the evolution of characters like Remy is almost inspirational. Of course, Pixar never fails to impress with quality animation, and it'd be a crime to miss out on this thought-provoking journey. As the critic in the movie points out at the end, not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere.
The winner of the prize.
I really can't believe my eyes.
Winnie the Pooh, 2011. Winnie the Pooh, the adorable, honey-loving bear, has been a memorable fictional childhood companion for many, and this movie brings one of his great adventures on screen. It's just another regular day in 100-acre wood for the bear, and he sets out to find some honey. But a crazy confusion causes a comedy of errors that bring about an adventure for Winnie and his furry friends in the forest. They believe that their friend Christopher Robin has been kidnapped by a monster called the Baxan, and they all gear up to save him. Of course, the film is all about juvenile fun and childhood innocence, and you shouldn't be expecting a timeless classic from here. Winnie the Pooh is a rather short movie, but it still manages to capture what the character is all about. The elegant animation style lends some warmth to the narrative, and even the catchy songs and music were fun to enjoy. The voice acting is on the money, and some of the adorable moments in the film might make you tear up. Witness this memorable throwback to the era of hand-drawn natural animation, and make your kids bask in the gentle storytelling as well.
I have a great-great-grandson!
Coco, 2017. Miguel is a young aspiring musician, but he's stuck in a family that has a baffling ban on music for generations. That doesn't stop Miguel from dreaming, and he wants to become as good as his musical hero, Ernesto de la Cruz. After a random chain of crazy events, Miguel finds himself in the land of the dead to get some validity for his talents. With the help of some new friends, he discovers the strange secret past of his family, and learns about his great-great-grandfather who was a legendary singer himself. Can the young man battle the stigma and lies in his family and pursue his ambitions? Pixar has set the bar for animated movies so high that it requires something really special to make the fans take notice. Coco deserved the Oscar win for the Best Animated Feature category, and the movie tells you a simple and organic story packed with emotions and life lessons. The CGI and animation that you'll find here are some of the best in business, and we can assure you of some emotional roller coasters along the way. It's a movie that talks about deeply philosophical stuff like what a family really means, but the narrative never gets monotonous. Be a part of this emotional and musical journey, and we can assure you that you won't regret the time invested.
Asylum if it doesn't matter to me. I've proven my point.
Batman, The Killing Joke, 2016. This is easily one of the darkest story arcs featuring Batman, and you must be prepared to be a part of this crazy journey. It starts off with Barbara Gordon enthusiastically fighting crime as Batgirl, much to the opposition of Batman, who doesn't approve of herself, putting her in harm's way. After a passionate night between the two and a few close shaves with the criminal underworld, Barbara realizes that she's better off ditching the mantle of Batgirl altogether. But soon there's a familiar threat back in town, the Joker, who has returned with vengeance on his mind. The Clown Prince of Crime is after the Gordon family because he wants to do something unspeakable to justify his own descent into madness. The movie might be about one of the most vicious duels between Batman and the Joker, but it pales in comparison to the powerful novel. The source material is the perfect origin story of the Joker, and the story is also shrouded by some controversy because of some of the tough themes and terrible things that take place. While the movie fumbles to mirror the same level of storytelling, the animation is also barely average by Warner Brothers standards. One of the best things about the movie adaptation has to be the voice acting from legends like Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. And overall, the film needs to be watched because of their stunning performance and the historical importance of the story. Hercules, 1997. Enjoy this slice of Greek mythology as Hercules, the son of Zeus, is stripped of his godly appearance and immortality by the evil lord Hades. Luckily for Hercules, he retains his incredible strength, and now he's raised as a human in the mortal world. Later, when he finds out about his true heritage, he realizes that he must reclaim the status of the true hero that he was always supposed to be. With his friend, the flying horse Pegasus, and his trainer Phil the Satyr, Hercules sets out on a dangerous adventure, filled with slaying monsters and fighting Hades, who seeks to usurp Zeus's throne. Can he save both the mortal world and the realm of the gods from the evil powers? Hercules is the perfect Greek chorus orchestrated by Disney, and the narrative will stay with you for days. There are some iconic characters in the mix of things, and the animation is wonderfully done to reflect the true glamour of the story. The humor isn't just for kids, and neither is the style of storytelling that they chose. Prove yourself to be a hero formula has been tried and tested, and this movie takes the old spices to put in a new dish. James Woods as the evil Hades is the perfect casting, and even the other voice actors fit into their roles quite nicely. Watch out for the mythical touch provided by the music, and enjoy this complete package served by the geniuses at Disney.
15 puppies! How marvelous!
101 Dalmatians, 1961. The movie starts off in the most adorable fashion as Roger and his pet Pongo meet Anita and her pet Perdita. As the owners fall in love and get married, the dogs go on to have 15 puppies. However, this happy fairy tale is quickly interrupted by the sinister plans of Cruella de Vil, who wants to make a diabolical fashion statement by stitching a coat made from the fur of the puppies. She gets the Dalmatian pups kidnapped, and now Pongo and Perdita must step up as the parents to rescue their children. The local dogs of London also help their cause as they go after the thugs behind the kidnapping. We strongly believe that this animated flick is superior to the 1996 live-action version, and back in the day, it signified yet another of Disney's triumphs. The narrative thrives on a very strong cute quotient. The story is much more than enjoying the adorable puppies in action. Some of the intense scenes add the much-needed poignancy to the well-written script, and the characters have been voiced to perfection by the best-suited cast. The flawless animation makes the visuals quite appealing, and it looks like a vivid, hand-drawn effort from very talented artists. Character-driven animations and simple storytelling seldom get better, and 101 Dalmatians deserve to be watched by people across all age groups.
You stay.
The Iron Giant, 1999. The Iron Giant is a massive extraterrestrial robot, but his gigantic size isn't reflected in his innocent behavior. A 9-year-old boy named Hogarth Hughes befriends this gentle giant after he crash-landed on Earth. Meanwhile, a paranoid government agent wants to find this alien creature and destroy him. Hogarth tries his best to keep his new friend a secret, but it's not very easy to hide something that's 50 feet tall. The film comes with a beautiful message, but more importantly, the Iron Giant manages to capture the childhood innocence and puts it against the complexities of adulthood. It's a story that can entertain people of all age groups, and there's not a single aspect of the movie that you can complain about. The gorgeous animation is eye-catching and the colourful backgrounds look stunning. There are some action-packed scenes, and the explosive climax is certainly the moment to watch out for. The plot might have a resemblance to E.T., but the unique narrative brings several new components into play. Watch this underrated masterpiece and witness animation in its golden era.
More appropriately, the loser.
Robin Hood, 1973. Who doesn't love the entertaining stories of the vigilante outlaw Robin Hood? This animated version tells the familiar story, where Robin Hood and his gang reside in the Sherwood Forest. From here, they fight against the tyrannical sheriff of Nottingham who works to please the greedy Prince John. You get to see the swashbuckling hero in action as he fights, romances, and above all, struggles for justice for the oppressed. When every method to catch Robin Hood fails, the evil prince organizes an archery tournament to lure in the country's best archer. Will Robin Hood fall into the trap, or will he prevail against anarchy? It's easily one of the best renditions of Robin Hood, and it's a story well told and well animated. The abundance of comedy, heroic moments, and the hysterical silliness make it so enjoyable. There's no shortage of colourful characters in the movie. Prince John, for instance, is one of Disney's most awesome and hilarious villains, and you gotta love his screen presence. The movie wouldn't be complete without a fitting climax, and Robin Hood lands the perfect one. There are certain parts of the movie that feel slightly corny, but you wouldn't mind with all the fun that you'll be having while watching this. The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. Jack Skellington is the Pumpkin King of a dark Halloween town, but he wants to introduce something different and cheery in his life. When he comes across Christmas Town, it's just what he was looking for, and he brings back the ideas to his Halloween town. With all the resident ghouls, bats, and goblins, he tries to put up a Christmas show, but things are easier said than done. These creatures of the dark have no idea about the essence of Christmas, and a hilarious series of comedy of errors follows. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a wonderfully charming original story that tugs at your heartstrings. The narrative has a mix of magic, darkness, and the spirit of Halloween and Christmas clubbed into it. Tim Burton regards this movie as one of his personal favorites, and watching the film will make you realize why. There's an abundance of lovable characters, and their caricatures are fun to watch. Even the music in the movie reflects this approach, and the whole thing makes it a complete package for a great family drama that you can enjoy with the kids.
Oh, it's a beautiful dress. Did you ever see such a beautiful dress?
Cinderella, 1950. This was the time when animated versions of iconic fairy tales were making their way to the theaters, and Cinderella followed the trend. The titular character is a poor young lady who lives with her wicked stepmother after the death of her own mother. Her stepmother has 2 daughters of her own, and Cinderella is treated like a servant following her father's death. There is a change in her fortunes after the king announces a fancy dress ball, where every suitable maiden in the kingdom is invited. The prince will choose the one he fancies, and Cinderella heads to the party powered by the fairy godmother. The prince, does fall for Cinderella, but there are more challenges before she can have a happily ever after with the love of her life. Disney introduced some key changes to the original story, and their plans worked like magic. For starters, they gave the mice a far more important role than what you see in the books. It helped in delivering the much-needed humor and suspense, and you get to see a slightly different version of the mistreated Cinderella. The animation style is a revelation considering the era, and the fascinating combination of romance, comedy, and music worked like a charm. The modern-day remake doesn't stand a chance against this tried and tested classic.
Sure, we'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
Inside Out, 2015. Riley finds out the hard way that growing up isn't as easy and delightful as people make it out to be. She's uprooted from her Midwest life and is forced to move to San Francisco. Like any other individual, Riley is guided by some basic emotions, such as joy, fear, anger, sadness, and disgust, and they all live in her mind. These emotions struggle to adjust to the new life, and they all try to figure out a way to deal with the drastic changes. The movie explores their adventures as the personified emotions try their best way to restore normalcy. Contrary to what many would think, Inside Out isn't really a children's movie because it requires a level of maturity to comprehend the story. The best part is watching the personified emotions at work, and you can be sure of feeling all the emotions at some point. When Pixar is involved in an animated project, you expect the quality of animation to be nothing short of grand, and Inside Out doesn't disappoint. The script is equally strong, and so is the clever comedy that runs throughout the narrative. It's certainly a classic for the new generation, and a movie that will be remembered for times to come.
Lives, I'll fight you man to man, with one hand behind my back.
You mean...
Peter Pan, 1953. This is a near-perfect adaptation of J.M. Barrie's story about the boy who simply refuses to grow up. 3 children of the Darling family are whisked away on a magical flight to Neverland by Peter Pan with a little help from the fairy Tinkerbell. In this fantasy world, the children witness the war between Peter's gang and the scheming Captain Hook. Will the hero of their stories emerge as the winner in this struggle, or is it just a really good dream that the children are having? The beauty of this animated project is how nothing really makes sense, and yet everything seems so beautiful. The protagonist, Peter Pan, is a boy who could fly and never grew up, and the imaginations get wings right from this moment. This is a part of Disney's earlier efforts to immortalize popular fairy tales, and it was another grand success. Coming to the characters, Captain Hook is a captivating Disney villain, and he's simply a hilarious entertainer. Every character that you watch here has their unique quirks, which make them all the more fun. The animation is bright and beautiful, with a tendency of using splashy colors, but the cartoonists also knew when to introduce some subtlety in the plot. It'll be a worthy experience to be a part of history and check out just how amazing these early animated projects could be.
It only takes one bullet. You ain't got the nerve. Try me.
Rango, 2011. Everyone aspires to be a superhero, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to embrace such responsibilities. Rango is a pet chameleon who always dreamed about a life of action and adventure. When a freak car accident gets him in an old western town, he realizes that now is the chance to materialize his aspirations. The town is severely drought affected, and the lawless region needs a daring hero to fix all the problems. Rango finds himself in charge, and there are some evil fellows like the rattlesnake Jake that he must contend with. It won the Oscar for the best animated feature film of the year, and Rango deserved the credit for the brilliance that it showcased. The simple and effective characters work their magic, powered by some of the best voiceover performances in recent times. The voiceover work was done on the sets, where everyone sat together and read their lines, and this caused their performances to be so natural. The likes of Johnny Depp and Isla Fisher have done a remarkable job bringing the characters to life. The animation work is terrific, and Rango hardly puts a foot wrong while delivering some unadulterated entertainment. The movie was destined to be a classic, and it stands out, even after over a decade's gone by. Given the insane number of animated movies that have released over the decades, we don't have the audacity to say that our list is the ultimate verdict. Feel free to tell us in the comments below about the ones that we may have missed out, and the ones in our list that are the closest to your hearts. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks everyone.